BrentoCast, Season 2, with your host, Brent Bowers. Welcome to BrentoCast, Episode 57, with the girls. They might be slightly pissed. Hello, ladies. Oh my goodness, you made a mess of your water. I know why you would choose to make such a mess. I don't know. I mean, I give you nice clean water, and when I come back, it's full of mud and everything. I guess I don't really understand the thought process there, but you know, it sort of is what it is, ladies. And why is it every time I come to get your eggs that one of you is sitting on them? I know. Sorry about that. I mean, you got over 2 dozen eggs here. That was warm. That must be the one you were working on, huh? Now there's 1 dozen eggs for you. Let's see if we can fill up a second one. Yeah, I know you'd like to be outside the hen house, but here's the thing. You will not survive outside the hen house with Cooper on the loose until I reinforce. I mean, it's going to be the only chicken coop with plywood all the way around it, right? Which is not good for you or me with today's wood prices. But that's kind of like where we're at this point. Okay, so we need 2 more eggs, which I guess you'll have by tomorrow. Why are you picking at your bed, honey? I don't understand you. All right. So once again, I guess we'll take that dozen since it's ready. We'll take that dozen. And we will leave you ladies in peace today. Rainy day, of course. But won't you actually eat your corn? Not just putting there. Why are you picking at your bedding? All right, whatever. Have a good one. So, you know, I lost a lot of my flock. I was probably upwards of 18 chickens, and I lost all of them but 4 in 3 separate incidents where Cooper got out and illustrated to me that even the reinforced chicken wire, if he so desires, he can go straight through it. And that's precisely what happened. And I discovered that they lay much more consistently if they're not in fear for their life. So I've put the 4 remaining ones in the hen house. It's a sizable hen house, but really not big enough to leave them in there all the time. So I find days where the weather is right so that I can actually leave the dog in the kennel inside all day, so there's no chance of him slipping his choke collar and getting into the chickens. And as a result, I've been able to preserve their lives for another, I guess, 3 months now. And I realized that in the confined space, they get fatter, but they also lay more consistently. So I legitimately have been getting just as many eggs from the 4 chickens because each of them lays 1 day consistently and every day. So that's like over 2 dozen. I guess if I have 4, about 3 dozen eggs a week. And so like just now I went down and I had been collecting part of them into a crate, which I kept in the hen house there, just for convenience. And when I get it full, I'll take it to the store and we'll sell them through the store. And yeah, so that's about as farm fresh as you can get right there. We were going through a process where I'd wash them off, but my chickens are fairly neat when it comes to their eggs. They rarely have poop or anything on them. So I've just started taking them direct, literally just taking them out of the little laying nest and right into the box, and off they go to the store when they're ready. So we're about to pick up 1 dozen this morning, and I'm about 2 away from the second dozen, which, you know, again, that'll be 1 dozen to the store today, 1 dozen to the store tomorrow. But I digress. That's not what I wanted to talk about for episode 57 of Brento Cast. Unfortunately, it's been a very, very, very tough week last week. And that's right after a great vacation 2 weekends ago. Okay, now I'm slowing down to avoid killing a squirrel. All right. Thank you, Lord. I did not squish that squirrel. Yeah, 2 weekends back, we had a great staycation. Well, not really a staycation, but a close by vacation in Winston-Salem, visiting Pilot Mountain, which is a kind of a place that we go by. It's an amazing looking giant mountainous outcrop of stone, probably 1 billion years old, that we pass by on the interstate anytime we go north toward Virginia. And this time we decided we were going to check out Mount Airy, aka Mayberry, North Carolina. And they were having a festival that weekend. It was extremely windy. The weather was very nice though. And we did that, and we swung back by. I was going to go see Marshall Tucker, but I don't know, our timing was weird. Somebody worked in the store, our electrician guy, Josh, he only works at night, stayed overnight at the store, so we ended up staying there, and I got about 2 hours sleep. And by the time I got to the place where we were going to go see Marshall Tucker and the 2 opening acts for $40, which was a good price, we got there in an empty parking lot. There's 2 guys standing there, and it says $20 parking in flipping Pilot Mountain, North Carolina, which is a low population place. And that just pissed me right off. And in addition to the fact that I was going to have to stand there for another hour, so that was going to be like 6-7 hours out there with our little camping chairs, you know. And I was like, I don't know, man. I want to see Marshall Tucker, but then I got to thinking about it, and a guy pointed it out at the museum in Mount Airy that there wouldn't be probably a single member in common with the original band, or maybe 1 member, but of course the famous singer from that band is long dead. And I passed. I ended up passing, and I thought Father Time has caught up with me. I care more about sleep than I do getting in to see Marshall Tucker. Well, we go to Pilot Mountain, and I did not realize how that mountain works. There's a museum and, you know, information center down at the bottom of it, and a roundabout, and to turn and go up the mountain, it's a 2.5 mile drive to the top of it, which is, think about that, crazy. I mean, that's a lot of mountain right there. Well, you have to wait. There's a limited number of parking spaces on top, so they keep track of that, so you wouldn't be able to go up when there wasn't a parking space for you. So you had to wait till cars came down, and we waited and waited. I saw some other cars go up, but we didn't make it before the gate went back shut. So after about 20 minutes there, we decided we're going to just leave and go check out Pilot Mountain. I think I got the things reversed. So that's when we decided to come back. And we thought, I'm going to swing through one time. We were staying in Winston-Salem, and which is about 30-40 minutes away from Pilot Mountain. So I thought, let me swing through there one more time. And we swung through and got lucky. And we went right up and spent like an hour walking around the top. And I really could have spent 4 or 5 hours up there. Amazing overlook, amazing places to get photos. And that's before you even get into the hiking. But one of my sandals had a blowout, and I was starting to get a blister. So I decided not to push it too hard. And then we come to Embassy Suites in Winston-Salem. I don't know that I had ever stayed downtown Winston-Salem. And that whole thing was, Embassy Suites are cool by virtue of the fact that they're these giant old 1970s hotels that typically feel half empty, even if it's like almost at capacity. But this legitimately was half empty. It's one of the few places where you can get a like free drinks and snacks every night and free breakfast. So we really enjoyed that. We ended up hanging out quite a bit, and walked around Winston-Salem that day and then some the following day, and ate at a pretty cool place called Thai Harmony, and then came on home on Monday morning. So we actually spent Saturday night and Sunday night just to have a getaway. And that was all good and fine. But when we started coming home, started getting calls from David, and through sheer incompetence, Wells Fargo, and I hate to use that because you guys know I have a huge amount of brand loyalty to First Union and Wachovia and Wells Fargo that employed me for like 16 years. But unfortunately, since the California company took over, they started doing business like California, and they just have winnowed community banking down to where you don't really have a community banker. And when something goes wrong, you cannot get to an actual person that you can go and see. You're at the mercy of somebody in Iowa, and that's literally what happened to us. Well, they've had 3 months to sort out this thing where they have one of our numbers wrong. And, of course, this girl waits till the last minute and starts, talking to us Friday. Well, she'll give you a secure message. You got to message her back. And you're thinking, man, I hit her back in 5 minutes. She's going to surely hit me back, today. No, she'll take a day in between. So it's like 48 hours on the response. Long story short, back in 3 months ago, we had to resolve this situation where somebody had recorded our tax number wrong with the IRS. It's called a B notice. We got that sorted, but they said, well, we got to do this we got to fix it on our internal stuff, blah, blah, blah. And long story short, after just jumping through hoops, she'd send us a form. We'd fill it out. Well, actually, we'd print it, send it to our insurance folks to print it because we don't keep a big printer no more. Go down there and get it, sign it, fax it in. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you to do this. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you to do this 4 or 5 times. She ends up turning off our merchant account on Monday afternoon. So for the whole week, we were without it, and we tried to explain to them the situation. She was unreachable for like 48 hours, 2 or 3 days for her to get back. We tried to escalate, wasn't really able to for days. We just got like a complaint department. I'm like, hey, look, we're sitting here not able to take credit cards. You guys make an insane amount of money off of us. Why would you do that? And you just can't get a logical answer. Oh, following protocol. No. Protocol is when I send you a secure email that in response to something you've sent me, you respond that day, not 2 days later. Well, according to their records, we had taken like 2 weeks to respond, which is complete and total fabrication. It's like somebody wanted to see it that way, and that's how they saw it, but that's not the reality. I know that for a fact. So it wasn't just me. It was me, brother-in-law Dave, and Dave, our accountant. 3 of us were communicating with them, doing everything they asked, jumping through hoops. And so then they're like, well, it's easier for us if you just go ahead and apply for a new account, and we'll just get that process fast-tracked through. So we did that. I did everything the guy asked. He says, I'll be back to you in 45 minutes with, an answer, whether you're accepted, and we can start moving forward on this. By the way, it's going to cost you another $480 for a new machine. Now, those of you in the know, when a credit card company wants your business, they give you all the equipment. Because it's, they're going to ask you to pay for the privilege for them to take between $300 and $800 from you a month. No. So we tried to move forward to that. Guy never responded. After 45 minutes, a day, 2 days, finally we hear back from the original girl who caused all this problem with her complete unprofessionalism. And, I can get this turned back on for you. So they reversed themselves again. Now they can get it turned back on. But I need you to jump through some more hoops. So we do that. Again, my responses are met with a day wait, and then I hear back from her 2 days later on 2 occasions. And then when she finally did say what they needed, once more, I gave it to her, and she asked for 2-3 more things after the fact. But anyway, I go through the whole process again for a 4th time. And she said, well, I can probably get it turned back on Friday, meaning last Friday. And I'm like, well, great, whatever. Now, by this time, just to point out how crazy this is, I'd already went to our other bank, and I said, you guys have asked for our business as far as our credit, them and a bunch of other places for our credit business, processing your credit cards, your debit cards. And the president of the bank literally texts me back in 15 minutes and says, yeah, can I come over there and talk to you about it? I said, hey, I'll come to you. I mean, you're the president, But my point being, eager to get our business, eager to serve. And it's been that experience has been the same way. Every time they said, my guy will get to you within an hour, boom, it's happened. So unbeknownst to them, of course, we are ready to move to another company. But our final day with our debit card, they put it into the wrong account. Then they took it back, causing overdrafts and stuff on my little slush spending account, And because as soon as they put it in the wrong account, I just put it in the right account. They come back 4 days later, take it back out. So I'm like, thanks for that, And so at this point, they said, oh, well, we had to take it back because the merchant services account had been closed. I'm like, yeah, you guys created this entire problem. Duh. I mean, it's like the left hand doesn't know what the right hand is doing. I can track it back to after the merger. My schoolmate Sharon used to manage the branch over here in Eastgate Cinemas. And I noticed that all the personal bankers started disappearing. I mean, there's a guy out there named Brent that I talked to, always knew what was going on. Sharon, of course, knew everything there was to know, being a branch manager. You couldn't ask a question that she wouldn't know the answer to. She decides to leave Wells Fargo. Pretty soon, they close that branch down. They use COVID as a pretext to close that branch down. Well, when COVID's gone and over, they never open that branch back up. Now you have to go downtown to the main branch. You can no longer go to the restroom in there. They've done all this stuff. And listen, I'm not making the association that people with tattoos are stupid. I'm just giving you an example, okay? But used to, my dad would go, he had 2 banks he did business with, and one of those was Wells Fargo. He would go talk to the same banker every time. He'd get a line of credit statement where he could go off and buy these big $100,000 cranes and stuff like that at auctions. Never had a bit of trouble, and that's one of the reasons he dealt with Wells Fargo. I go in there now, the one lady that's supposed to be my personal, to try to deal with this problem, she's supposed to be my personal banker. She starts waving me off at the window before I even get to her door, saying, oh, I'm in training. I can't touch an account for 4 weeks. I find that highly unlikely, but okay. Why don't you tell me who to go talk to? She didn't. She couldn't tell me who to talk to. She's shrugging her shoulders. And then another girl talked to us that's, we know through the store. But I look in there, there's 3 ladies, 2 of them very young, all of them relatively new bankers, 2 of the girls covered in tattoos. I mean, the sense of decorum and like just old processes and ways of doing things is completely devoid from Wells Fargo. It's like, Californians going to Texas and trying to make Texas into the hell that California already is. That's how the Wells Fargo experiment has sort of turned in. When I was banking with Wachovia and they became Wells Fargo, they had the Wachovia online banking, which was at the time by far the most superior. You could do the most stuff, your money hit the fastest, it was just the best. I'm not sure that's the case anymore, and it's like they have just chipped away. I remember a time when I was working at Wells Fargo, and after the merger, they took like $150,000 testing room where you could like log in remotely and watch users experience new web interfaces and track their eyes and see all this stuff. They turned that into a massage room or a conference room or something like that. They just absolutely had no sense of, hey, what made Wachovia great? We could build on that. No, it was like, we're California. We're going to just wipe this away and do it our way. And I feel like that trend has carried on. And now Wells Fargo is not the bank that it was right when it first merged with Wachovia. And it's certainly not the bank that Wachovia was, in my humble opinion. All of this to say that I was having a crap week to start with. And of course, my mother had a medical emergency on, I guess it was the 20th. I may have that date wrong. Back on Friday. She goes by to see her renter at 103 Montgomery, which thank God was only about half a mile from the hospital. And she pulls up in front of her salon and calls her on the phone. Well, then she drops her phone and she wasn't able to pick her phone up. And, so the girl come out because it did connect, and my mom wasn't able to move her whole left side, so she'd had a seizure. Without getting into particulars, I'm going to talk about this on another occasion where I have my notes in front of me. The seizure that she had, as far as seizures go, was the more recoverable kind. I think a CTA is what they call it. It was not the hemorrhagic seizure where you're bleeding from the brain. It was the kind where you have a clot that floats and impacts your brain. And I would say they called me. It happened at 1:02 p.m. The girl Jamie called me from Mom's phone at 1:09, and I was over there within 5 minutes. And the ER folks, the EMT folks, and the fire truck pulled in right behind me. They had 15 guys. About 6 of them were in the car getting her out, and I would say she probably was in the hospital from the time it happened within 20 minutes, that's really improves your opportunity for a full recovery. So they're saying that they think she has a good chance of recovery because she was there quickly. They were able to use that clot buster medication, and then there's a follow-up medication they're able to use. And, man, strokes are crazy things. She could wiggle her toes on her left foot at first, and then she couldn't. And then since that time, she's been able to wiggle her fingers on her left hand, but, she couldn't do it last night. So it's not like it's like you start recovering and then everything kind of goes in one direction. It's like it jumps back and forth. There's times I've looked at her and thought, wow, her face looks really droopy, and other times where I thought it doesn't look so bad, So what is the actual situation? I don't want to compare it to when she was in a coma, because obviously that was dire, but this is a serious thing that's going to impact her life. And of course, she had just got straightened out with that neurotransmitter in her back. She had about 4 months of feeling pretty good, going and doing stuff, and now it's another setback, and it's a bit depressing. But of course, our family situation is weird. At this time, Nancy is not. She's stressed out about it all. She got really stressed when my dad, grew ill and passed away. And so she doesn't want to go to the hospital. Chris never goes in a hospital, so that's down to me. Delilah can't go into the hospital, so I watch her a lot. So it's like I'm trying to make sure I get over there at least twice a day and take her whatever she wants, and toothbrushes, hairbrushes. Like today, she requested Jell-O. I'm going to go over and take that. But, it's just, man, it's just depressing to see your parents start falling apart. But God willing, she makes a full recovery. I don't know that that's a fact, but I do know that there's going to be a stop at a rest home, which, talking with her, she thinks she's going to go to Trinity Place and then go home. But right now, she can't even turn herself over. Obviously, she can't go to the bathroom by herself. So I think it's really going to be more of a, potentially sometime this week, they move her into Trinity if there's a bed for her. And then she stays there through a rehab to where she gets where she can at least do, go to the bathroom by herself and whatnot. We'll see. It's not the most dignified thing to talk about, but I will say this about my mom. Anybody that knows my mom well knows that she was raised on a cotton farm, and that's why she has so many siblings. It was her, it was free labor for her parents. And my mom is tough. I have not heard her bitch about this one time. I've bitched about it quite a lot, and not so much from the position of it's inconvenienced me. Of course it has, but just that it makes me upset for her, because we worked so hard to get her mobile again with that transmitter, and this whole process of her having to go through the trial and then getting that device and it working great. And it's but I will say this, so far everybody that we have dealt with at the hospital has been very professional and very on it, and I'm thankful for that. It's like when you're in the ICU, you can expect that. But then as you go down in levels to your health is upgraded, you start to experience, at least in Charlotte it was that way, less great people. And I'm not looking forward to that, because, at this point my mom's been through a lot, and I just, I get angry. I get angry when things aren't handled the way they're supposed to be, but it's harder and harder to not let that slip into my tone and stuff like that. So, but, I'm hopeful that the Lord will be with me, and we'll just meet this head on, and try to get her recovered as much as possible. Maybe they said the type that she had, there's a good chance for a full recovery. So from their lips to God's ears, that's how it goes. But I did want to go ahead and make this Brento cast, because it's going to be a big change in all of our lives for the next little bit for sure. And I did want to have a record of that, when that happened, how it happened, and perhaps I'll talk more about it next time. Right now, I've got a few things to do before I get over there, and we do have the jam band has a gig at the Arbor Day Festival. It's the first time I've been invited to play on the main stage, and I wanted to make that happen. So we rehearsed last night, and I actually rehearsed the same day she had the stroke, and that's challenging to get yourself emotionally up for that. But again, we're just trying to hammer down and make it happen, and hopefully we will, and hopefully the Lord was with her the whole way, and we get her recovered and out of the hospital ASAP. Anyway, thanks for listening. Hope you guys have a great week.